Jinny reacts.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. So after my fan signing event with BTS, I put out a Q&A option on Twitter, and a lot of you asked me a lot of questions about the fan sign. So I have composed them all into this video. I have selected 7 of the most commonly asked. Yes, I shifted through all 600 comments. So I did 7 of the most commonly asked question, and then I'll do 3 just generated random number questions. First, just to get through like the basics of stuff. I am from Australia, but I don't live in Australia currently. I live in Korea. I am studying and working here. My bias is Rat Monster. It is not Jin. My last name is Jin. That is why my nickname is Jinny. It has nothing to do with Jin himself, although he is probably my second bias. Number 3, fan sign. I'm not rich. I actually did a lot of group orders to get into fan signs, so please don't think I bought my way into this. I definitely went through a very economical way of trying to get into this fan sign. And I am multi-fandom, but this video will just be on the BTS fan sign because it is the only one I've been to, and it is the one that I've gotten the questions for. But do know that in the future I am a multi-fandom person, so I will be supporting all of the groups. First question, what language did I speak with the boys? I spoke English and Korean with the boys. Your other question is that, you know, how confident, how good am I in Korean? My Korean is pretty bad. Like, I'm here studying level 1, but I can speak a lot of basics, so, you know, 조금, little bit, you know. So I can say a lot of basic stuff, but I wanted to speak in English with them because I guess they would have heard a lot of Korean, so it's kind of a different vibe for them. And sometimes it catches them a little off guard, which is a bit refreshing. I don't know. So, you know, like, for example, I spoke mostly all in English with Ratmon, with Jin, with Jimin, and with Jungkook, and with Taeyeon I said like, oh, Tani, 너무 귀여워. Like, I said very basic phrases, you know, like 감사합니다, 안녕하세요, and stuff like that. But yeah, my Korean is not fluent. I can listen really well, like I understand Korean through listening, but my talking is not that great. But you can speak with them in English. Like, Jin replied in perfect English, and I was so surprised. You know, Jimin and Jungkook, they all knew what you were saying. Like, obviously, with the certain members don't speak so eloquently. Like with Ratmon, he's my bias, so I like kind of just spoke like naturally with him because I knew that he knew English pretty well. But you know, I try not to speak too complicated with the other members in case they get confused. But yeah, so you can speak with them in English or Korean, whichever one you're more confident in. How were the members slash what sort of aura and vibe did I get from them? I'll describe them in the order I met them. The first person in line was Jimin. He's very sweet looking, and he gives off a really kind of like caring and carefree sort of vibe, I would say. His smile is very, very addictive, and he is quite playful and very shy, I would say. It is the way that I felt with him. Kind of a little bit like he's like testing the ground with you before he kind of like decides what sort of vibe he should have with you. Second member was Jungkook, who surprised me the most because I thought he'd be kind of like Jimin, but Jungkook was really confident with his fans. He kept eye contact and really gave you the time and space. Like, I didn't know that I was holding his hand like this, but I didn't know I was holding his hands like this until like I had talked with him for a while. And even after I finished talking, because I was so flustered, I had finished what I wanted to say, or like what I remembered to say to him, but our hands were still held like this, and he kind of just like kept holding my hand and was just looking at me and smiling, and I was just looking at him smiling, and we were just like, and then I was like, oh, okay, 너무 귀여워, and then I just like moved on. But he was really confident. Like, he seems shy on camera, but I feel like, you know, when you're conversing with him and when he's with the fans, he's really confident and he's not scared to initiate skinship. So, you know, he really did surprise me a lot, and he was one of the members who had a bit of like acne, scarring and stuff like that on his face, so he did give off like a very cute baby sort of vibe, but also he's so photogenic. Like every photo I took of him, he just looked stunning. I was just like, not fair. So after Jungkook was Jin. Jin is really funny and really confident and just really like bright, and he and J-Hope would just make my day. Like I love that he's that confident, and I love that he is not shy to be like cheeky and just own everything. Like I told him, I was like straight up when I saw him, I was like, oh, worldwide handsome Jin, and he's like, yeah, worldwide handsome. Like he was just taking it, and he's just amazing. He's really confident and really sweet and really lovely. Then it was Ratmon who was my bias, and Ratmon kind of talks to you with his face. Like he leans in, and then he like really expressive when he talks, and he gave off this like he had a maturity about him. Like Jin was really playful even though he's the older guy, but Ratmon carried himself in a way that was like he seemed really mature beyond his age and very like sensible, but also at the same time very sweet and caring, kind of like that like church oppa kind of feel almost. He's gorgeous. Oh, I would dive into those dimples any day. Like he is so beautiful. But yeah, he just I'm so in love with that man. It's not even funny. Oh wait, no, I forgot Sugar. Sugar was between Jin and Ratmon. Sorry. Sugar, like he always has this like mysterious aura about him whenever I see him. Like he just, it's like so hard to pinpoint who he is. And I said it in my other video, but when he interacts with fans, it really depends on how interactive the fan is. Like he will give back to you as much as you can give to him. He's not the type to initiate anything. He's kind of like more laid back and just like roll with it sort of feel kind of guy. So he was really chilled, and a lot of you asking, well, oh, was he tired the whole time? Like I think that's just his Yoongi vibes. Like it's not like every member has to be like Jin and J-Hope and they're always like up and pumping and like really excited. I think he's not tired. That's just Yoongi. Like that's his style, and he, you know, he's still, you know, he looks fine. He just does what he wants, and that's fine. He can do whatever he wants. He looks great doing whatever he wants anyways. And then J-Hope. J-Hope is just smiley. He is so smiley. He is so sweet. He is just so, like, he would make your day in a heartbeat. His smile is gorgeous. He is so upbeat. Really playful. Really just like, you know, he's like the type of guy who lives life at 120%, and I just really feel that. And the way he interacts with fans, like even because you can subtly hear what the fans are saying sometimes because the mic is closed, but even without the mic being closed, you can always hear J-Hope like calling out the person's name. Like, you know, if the person was like Sungmin, he'd be like Sungmin. Like he was just like really expressive. So major vibes. Last member is Tae, and I've met Tae twice during a Japanese handshake, and I feel like he's the type that's really playful with the people he's close with, but with like strangers, so like with his fans, he's kind of like more of this like more reserved and more kind of like, I don't know, like he's like trying to be careful not to like push boundaries when you're with him. I don't know, like this is just a fan sign, so like don't take this seriously, but like when I just got to the table, he's like really, oh, like, hi, how are you going? And then I was like, oh, you know, your dog is really cute, and he was like, oh, it's really cute, right? Like he just like, it was something like he liked to talk about, and he kind of just came out of his bubble and was like, oh, like kind of playful about it. So you know, he kind of puts on that face of like, oh, he seems a bit serious, but he's probably like one of the biggest kids in the group. And yeah, like people say, oh, is he tired? I think he was a little bit tired, but I think all the members are always a little bit tired. I mean, they're doing the Japanese tour, they're probably planning this comeback, they're just doing a lot of stuff. So it's normal for them to be tired. And you know, even Tae was saying he's gained weight and Jimin's saying he's gaining weight, so like they're healthy, they're doing great, they're just doing them, but they are a bit tired, you know. I'm a bit tired too. The third question kind of links to the above question, and a lot of you wanted to know what they smelled like, and I'm so sorry to tell you, but I did not smell them. Like, there is a table between us and I feel like you need to be pretty close to smell someone. It's also kind of really weird. I don't think I would ever smell somebody unless they were my close friends, so I'm sorry, I don't know what they smell like. Okay, number 4 question. How did I get into this fan sign? What is the fan sign process? How much did I play? Blah 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 blah. So this is a big question. I'm going to try and answer it as briefly as I can. With fan signs in Korea, you often have to buy an item within a specific time frame. With albums, you have to buy albums. With items like this one, this fan sign was the turn-in shoes, so you had to buy the turn-in shoes. With the shoes, you get a voucher which has a code on it. This one was from March the 2nd to April the 1st, so you could buy within that period as many as you want. Apply as many times as you want, and this was open internationally, so it didn't have to be just in Korea, you could be anywhere in the world, and the total number of people that got in was 150. With albums, it's normally between a 2-3 day time frame, and often you have to buy it in store. Sometimes they do online, but mainly they're in-store purchases, so you have to go and buy albums yourself. And then with the album numbers, you get, that's how many entries you get, and the shoes is how many, you know, pairs of shoes. So how many pairs of shoes did I buy? I actually opened a group order for Australia for the shoes. I did foot a bit of the price myself in order to get a few more orders, but it wasn't that much. This was the most cheapest way I could think about getting into a fan sign. So I ended up with about 28 pairs of shoes for my final order, including 1 pair which was for myself. Everything else is for other people. So essentially I had 28 entries, and I was able to be lucky enough to be picked. And to be honest, it is all luck based, because I didn't think I'd get in with 28. There was a girl who got in with 1 pair, there was a girl who got in with 3 pairs, there was a girl who got in with 800 pairs. It's so variable and you don't know. Same with the albums. Although albums I do know is a lot harder, because with albums it's easier to sell. With shoes it's like people have to want the shoes, but with albums most people will want an album. I know with BTS in terms of albums and EXO in terms of albums, you need to get like 200 or 300 and above, and still you might not get in. But it is all lottery based. I didn't pay for any fan slot. I didn't really technically pay for the ticket. It's not like a ticket, it's a lucky draw. With this event, it was open internationally. With a lot of the album purchases, it is only open domestically, so you have to be in Korea to buy it. But this event was international. With fan signs, if it's albums, you often get like a little receipt with a little like your name and like the number of albums, so you need to bring that on the day with your ID as well as your phone, so they can verify it's you. With this one you had to bring in the code plus ID plus your phone, so do keep the things that you get for fan signs and don't lose them, including receipts. Sometimes they do also check receipts, so just keep all that with you. And if you get in, bring everything and check the information right and check the locations and blah 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 blah. Technically I've answered 5 and 6, so we'll just move on to 7, which I already answered in the beginning. But where do I live? I do live in Korea right now. I would not have traveled from Australia to here just for a fan sign, even if I did get in, because unless I can make this a trip, I don't see why it's worth it. It is like 600 to 800 return for a plane ticket plus accommodation and all that jazz. So if you're from an Asian country where it's close to fly here, then you're so lucky, but it takes 10 hours to fly here from Australia, and at the end of the day I just don't think it's really that worth it if I'm only coming here for a fan sign. But yeah, luckily enough I do currently live here. Okay, because so many of those questions were squished together, I am going to generate 5 extra questions. Here we go. Question 534. 534 said, what did you talk to Yoongi? So actually Yoongi Oppa was one of the ones that I was least prepared for, because I just didn't know what to say to him. Like, there was a lot I wanted to say, and I just wanted to say something that was kind of meaningful. But then I got to him and I was looking at him and I was just kind of like in the vibe of him, and he was like, oh hello, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm from Australia, and then he was like, oh okay, like cool, and then he gave me a high five, and I was like, oh do you like Australia? And he was like, yeah, like in his like Jungi sort of way, and I was like, oh okay cool, and then like kind of like moved on. He was kind of like that's what I mean, like the more you give him, the more he gives back, and I really didn't prepare that much for him. Honestly, I didn't prepare that much for any member. I was just so flustered about this whole thing that even if I did prepare, I'd forget. So, you know, and it was just nice seeing him and asking him and talking to him, and yeah, that's all I really said to him. But, you know, maybe if there was the next time I could prepare something more, but that's all I said in the first time. Question number 145. When you go into the BTS Fansign, do we need to buy a ticket or not? I explained it. It is a lottery based. You can't buy a ticket. You can't actually buy the winning lottery either, because you have to verify your ID, and it is a photo ID. So unless you look so similar to the person on the photo ID, it's quite impossible for you to then sell your fan sign spot. What people do sell is fan sign slots, but because this one wasn't like an album where they signed a page and you could put different names, you couldn't really sell the fan sign slots. So again, I won this by lottery. I didn't pay for any sort of slot. Third question, 295. Who did you talk with the most? I think the person I talked with the person I spent the longest time with was with Jungkook, because he just like kept holding my hand, and I was just like, I don't know how to pull away, but also I don't want to pull away. Like, we had finished talking, and like didn't really know what else to say to him, and we kind of just had this moment where he was just holding my hand and I was holding his hand, and he was just smiling at me and I was just smiling at him. But the person I talked most with was with Namjoon, and it was because I had thought about wanting to say things with him, and because he's good in English, so he was also really interactive. Like, so we actually had more of a conversation. But yeah, I would say similar amount of time with Jungkook and Ratmon, but I talked more with Ratmon. Fourth question is 469. Did you die when you saw them? Actually, just before I got on the stage, I was literally like, I can't believe that this is gonna happen. Like, I think when I was sitting in the chair, I was still kind of processing like, oh, it's not gonna be me yet, it's not gonna be me yet. But when I was on the stage and I was holding my paper and she was like, oh, you have to go now, I was like, holy crap, like this is happening. And when Jimin turned to look at me and I got down, I was just like, oh my god, like this is happening. But it's kind of weird because it wasn't like before I got on the stage, it was like I could hear what everybody else was doing and I could hear what was happening. But when I got on the stage and I was with the member, it was like I was in the moment with them. Like when I was with Jimin, I couldn't hear what the other members were saying to everybody else. I couldn't hear what the fans behind me were saying. And then when I moved on to the next member, it was like that. It was like I was in a zone where there was nothing else there but me and them. And that was something I experienced for the first time. I was like, oh, we are very muchly just concentrating on this thing. But yeah, I'm obviously not dead, but a part of me has died and come back to life because it was just a process. Okay, last question is 392. Who is the sweetest member? All of them are sweet in their own way. Like, I can't pick one who I thought was sweetest. Like, I mean, Ratmon definitely gave me the sweetest comment because, like, I asked him, you know, I said thank you for making music that changes the world, and he said thank you for being born. Like, that's a very, very sweet comment. But like, Jim was super playful, and you know, Jungkook had his own like soft baby vibes, and same with Yoongi, and J-Hope had his confident vibes, and Jimin had his just like caring vibes, and Tae had his cool vibes. Like, they were all just sweet in their own way. I don't think I could say one person was sweeter or nicer than the other. Obviously, you know, Jin and J-Hope were more energetic, but like, I just think they were all really, really great, lovely boys. So yeah, that concludes this video. Thank you for watching this Q&A and for experiencing this crazy roller coaster with me. It has been a ride, I would say. It has been a ride, and you know, it's literally like 8 o'clock, and I'm ready for bed. Like, I felt like that took all my energy and I'm ready to sleep for a century. But thank you for watching this. Thank you for sending in your questions. Hopefully I was able to answer most of them. If you have any additional questions, please put them down below and I will try and answer them for you. Again, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and I will see you guys again at my next video. Bye.